All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Dalton Dye, and I'm one of the associate directors with New Student and Family Programs. I just want to say, first of all, thank you all so much for being here. And we hope that you are excited and looking forward to coming to Duke here in a couple of very short weeks. We're very excited for you all to be joining us on campus soon. And just as a heads up, tonight is our final summer transition series webinar, all about preparing for the transfer student move-in and the Project Transfer Orientation Week experience. If you are a first year or a parent family member of a first year student, you have the wrong Zoom link. We will start that one at 6 o'clock Eastern time. So just want to point out that this one will be for the transfer student experience itself. Before we get into the content, we'll talk a little bit about the webinar features. There is a Q&A button you should see at the bottom of your Zoom. This will be used for you to ask questions of anything that we talk about tonight. I would say please hold off on questions until we get towards the end of the presentation, as we might have your questions answered as we go through. If there are questions that are relevant to you specifically, you might get a typed answer back to yourself. Otherwise, we'll ask the questions out loud for the good of the group, because if you have the same question, other people probably do as well, and we want everyone to have the same answers, especially if they're watching the recording after the fact. As I mentioned, the webinar is being recorded, so just want to throw that out there. If you do come off mute to ask anything, it will be recorded, and we'll post these on our website later on. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and dive in and get started. Tonight's agenda, again, is to talk about some of the logistics of the move-in day experience, what you can do now to get ready for move-in day, what happens on the day of, and then what comes after that. We'll talk about some of the move-in day events and what's going on that date, and then a little bit about experiential orientation, what to expect during the week, and some of our signature events that happen, as well as what goes on beyond a week. Because as you might know, Duke is a big place with a lot to learn and experience, and it's impossible for us to teach you everything you need to know about Duke in just one short week. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump in. So things you can be thinking about and working on now to get ready for move-in day. The first would be to confirm your immunizations, fill out your XO waiver, that students should have received to their Duke email in the last couple of weeks, and you've probably gotten a million reminders from us about to fill out. Completing the online modules that were assigned to you a couple weeks ago as well, and then uploading your Duke card photo, as that's one of the most fast approaching due dates for something to get done. All these to-dos can be found in your transfer student checklist available via Duke Hub. So if you haven't logged in to check that out, I would strongly encourage you to do so. Other things, so you should have received an email from housing yesterday with all the instructions about move-in day. We would really encourage you to review that email thoroughly to make sure you understand all the steps and processes that you need to complete before you get on campus. Reviewing the maps, following the self-check-in instructions that were included, and asking whatever questions you have now, so that way you feel prepared on move-in day itself. One pro tip before move-in day starts: label all of your boxes, all of your bags. While there are not a ton of transfer students who will be moving in this day, things do have a habit of going lost in the shuffle. So if you have all of your bags labeled with your room and housing assignment, your name, maybe even a phone number if you felt so led, that'll help us or any volunteers track down your belongings if they somehow get lost in the mix. So that's something you'd be thinking about and doing now. Great. Some packing lists, since we're talking about boxes. For Project Transfer and O Week specifically, we're requesting that you bring some sunscreen, that you bring some athletic clothing, and some comfy shoes. There are a lot of things on the schedule, and we'll talk about it a little bit later in our presentation tonight, but there will be a lot of time outside and a lot of time on your feet, so dressing for the weather. If you've not been to the U.S. South or to North Carolina, Durham does get very hot and humid, and we will do our best to let people be indoors and away from the heat when possible. It's also inevitable that there will be time outside. Other commonly forgotten items that we hear from students all the time after they arrive: formal and semi-formal attire, rain gear, whether it be boots, jackets, umbrellas, whatever that looks like for you, cleaning supplies for the dorm. If you haven't done so already, we'd really encourage you to connect with your roommates to help iron out some of those packing needs and who's bringing what and how you both are responsible for the space. Shower shoes is a great example for living in a dorm with a public bathroom, command strips, hangers, things like that. So some of the commonly forgotten items that we hear about all the time. Great. Move-in day schedule. So again, this was all in the email that you should have received from housing yesterday, but we'll go through some of the high-level pieces here as well. The move-in window for transfer move-in is on Monday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. This includes the window for all dorms that you might have been assigned. So whether you're living in one of the West Campus dorms, in one of our 7 quads, if you're living in 300 or 301 Swift, or Blue Light, or if you're going to Lancaster Commons, all these pieces are going to be somewhat similar. The first is you need to complete the self check-in process that has been sent to you through the housing portal. The link instructions are all in your email right now. And that is going to be the first step. Before you even get here, you can do that. Once you actually arrive on campus, your check-in will take place a little bit based on where you live. So if you live on West Campus, the upper class housing office located in Craven Quad House D is the place to go. If you're in 301 Swift or 300 Swift or Blue Light, the check-in will be at those buildings specifically as well. When you arrive at those locations, they'll ask you to show the check-in confirmation that you filled out, and then you'll be able to pick up your room or key fob, room key or your fob, and then a temporary parking pass for loading and unloading. While this all happens, our student leaders will be in a tent outside of the main housing office for project transfer check-in. This will be a chance for you to connect with our student leaders, pick up a t-shirt, merch, verify dietary needs and other accommodations that you might have submitted ahead of time, and connect with our student leaders about what the week is going to be. We should have Gloria joining here a little bit later tonight as well to talk about some of those things. And so she'll be a good person to connect with if you have questions about anything related to project transfer. The other big event that culminates and wraps up our move-in day experience is the transfer family farewell. This is going to take place between 6 and 8 o'clock p.m. at the Karsh Alumni and Visitor Center on Monday night. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Food will be served from 6 until 7:30. There'll be some brief remarks from campus administrators and our student leaders starting at 7 o'clock. And then there'll be a lot of time to mingle and connect with other parents, other family members, and a variety of Duke faculty and staff who will be there to help support. So we encourage you to be there for that. We are asking that you RSVP. So for the students on the call, you should have gotten an email invite the other day with a link to RSVP. You'll continue getting reminders all the way up until next Monday at noon, as that's when we have to submit our final order. So if you're interested in coming to this, please let us know. If you have other plans or can't make it, that's okay too. Feel free to respond to the survey and just give us a no, and that'll help us plan out our catering, dietary needs, and seating for the event itself. That's move-in day schedule. Some tips and tricks. One, use your temporary unloading zones. If you've not visited Duke's campus yet, you will soon come to learn that our campus is not super accessible via car. There are a couple of main thoroughfares that people take a lot of drives to, or you can cut through campus somewhat. Doesn't always get as close to the dorm as you would like. So use the temporary loading permits to get as close as possible to the dorm and make it as easy as possible on yourself. You're strongly encouraged to bring a cart or a dolly. I believe that there will be some equipment available, but with the amount of students we have moving in, it will be in your best interest to bring some supplies. You also will all know what you're packing and what you need to do in order to move into the dorm successfully. So think about some sort of cart or dolly system that way. We'd also encourage you to arrive early. I think every year we hear of people who don't plan on getting there until the afternoon, traffic gets delayed, something breaks down and an issue happens, and they feel rushed and pressed to get in before the 5 o'clock window. So we encourage you all to arrive early, give yourself plenty of time to make it easier on yourself to settle in and not feel that pressure. After you're done unpacking in your room, there's a couple things you can do on campus. One, like I said, check in with our project transfer crew over on West Campus in the Kroll Quad, or at Kroll on West Campus. Grab some lunch if you are coming around the noontime. There's plenty of off-campus or on-campus dining establishments that you can check out, and that'll be more on this next slide here. And then think about what else you might need while you are here moving in. My encouragement would always be for those of you who are traveling from far away and have access to a car to come to campus with the necessities you need, scope out the room, see what the size and layout is, and then go and find the other things that you think you want for your room. It's always a tragic occurrence for people to buy this nice new rug, bring it all the way from wherever home is, get to the room, and then figure out it actually doesn't fit the dimensions of the floor plan. So our encouragement is always to see the room before you purchase it. And there'll be plenty of time on move-in day to run to a Harris Teeter, a Target, a Costco, a Walmart, all these stores that are within an easy 10-15 minute drive of campus. What else is happening during the day? So I mentioned this a little bit in the last slide, but there is dining available at the Broadhead Center. Our students call it WU, W-U. So depending on who you ask and what map you look at, you might see it in different names and places. Bryan Center is also our student union on campus. Both those places have plenty of food establishments here on campus. Good food, close by, easy to walk to, and they'll be open during this Monday day. There's also 9th Street, which is located next to Duke's East Campus. It's kind of a hub for our Duke students to go off campus and eat. There's a variety of restaurants and stores over there as well. So if you're looking for a place to get out and explore, that's an easy one that's close to campus. There's also downtown Durham, very close as well. And Durham does have, selfishly, a very good food scene. So this is a chance for you to get off and explore a little bit before the on-campus meal plan starts. Other things to check out: the mailroom. So this is going to be located in the Bryan Center on the lower level. If you have mailed any packages to campus ahead of time, this is where you can go pick them up. You'll be able to get your mailbox key and figure out what the mailroom looks like and access some of those belongings that way. So there are also 2 places you can go to shop. The Duke University store is in the Bryan Center on the lower level, and then the Duke Team store. This is located over on Trouble Plaza, which is between Cameron Indoor, the basketball stadium, the basketball arena, and Wallace Wade, the football stadium. So if you are looking for some more athletic themed merchandise, whether it be jerseys, t-shirts, spirit wear, whatever, that's going to be a spot for you over there. Both those locations will be open throughout the day. There's other campus attractions you can check out as well. So like I said, if this is your first time visiting campus, some of our iconic landmarks include the Duke Chapel, the Duke Gardens, and then there is the Athletic Hall of Fame, which is located in Cameron Indoor. Cameron itself won't be available for anyone to go and visit. There are some athletic competitions and practices happening during this week, but the Athletic Hall of Fame is a part of that building, and that is as close as you're going to be able to get to entering Cameron. There's some really cool history in there as well. So if you are a sports buff and want to check out some of Duke's athletic history, we'd encourage you to check that out. I believe it's open from 8:30 to 5. So there's plenty to do during the day after you are settled in and unpacked and ready to explore a little bit. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Transfer Family Farewell will be at Karsh Alumni and Visitor Center. Duke Email has the RSVP link. Doors open at 6, food served from 6 to 7:30, and then welcoming remarks will happen at 7. Once 8 o'clock hits, that is when the Transfer Family Farewell ends. That's also when Project Transfer begins. So our ask is that as you leave the family farewell, you say your goodbyes, as your students will start going with our Project Transfer crew and begin their orientation week experience with some social activities that evening, and then the bulk of the programming will start the next day. Like I said, it's a great chance to mingle and connect with Duke administrators, staff, and then other parents and family members who are here for the day. So take full advantage of it. It is supposed to be a fun social experience. And like I said, students, that is in your inbox to RSVP. Okay, so meeting the PDs. I'm looking through the attendance list. I don't know if I see Gloria or G-Day on here yet, so they might have had something come up. But these are our 2 project directors. Gloria and G-Day are both transfer students themselves, and they've been working since January to help plan this orientation week experience. They are the ones who are responsible for recruiting and selecting the orientation leaders, planning the different elements of Project Transfer, and will be here to help guide you through your transition. Students, you've probably received several emails and maybe have even connected with them via the GroupMe, via some other Zooms they posted this summer. So just a chance to put some names to some faces there. I'll talk a little bit about what Project Transfer looks like. So one, like I said, it's designed by transfer students for our transfer students. We are really proud of our experience. So our experiential orientation project system that we have here, we view it as an immersive start to the Duke experience. And instead of some orientation experiences that you might have had at other institutions, ours is really designed for you to gain some content and knowledge that is relevant to you, starting maybe after you're as a sophomore or junior student, It is student designed and student led. It's a mixture of excursions, social activities, and some small group intentional conversations. Project Transfer will be going off campus several times throughout the week to explore the Durham and Triangle community. There's other collaborations with other projects, so you can connect with other students outside the transfer class. And it really is focused on developing that sense of community, that sense of belonging, and helping you all feel like you are ready for Duke once day one of classes start. They'll be sharing a schedule with you. They've probably already given you a high level overview in the project pack that was sent out the other day. But if you have specific questions about anything related to Project Transfer, I would encourage you to email the Project Transfer email address. Great. We do have some big signature events that happen throughout XO. On Monday and Wednesday, we have our class-wide socials. For us with Project Transfer, it is focused on the transfer student and the transfer student farewell. Wednesday is another all-class social. So that is all new to Duke students coming together for some social activities over on East Campus. So a chance for you to connect with some of the other new to Duke students who might not be transfer students. Friday is we do a class photo in front of the chapel for the transfer class. And then there's an East Campus Carnival Friday night to help round out the orientation week experience. Saturday, so just so you all are aware, on the Fridays when upper-class students will start moving back and returning to Durham, they have all weekend to move in. Saturday is when DUU, which is the Duke University Unions, the large programming board on campus, hosts a welcome back bash for all Duke students, both first years and upper-class students. And that happens on the quad in front of the chapel. So another signature event that's a lot of fun. So we'd encourage you to check it out and be there on Saturday night. And then Sunday is new student convocation. This happens in Cameron Indoor Stadium. It is for students. There's not the capacity to include parents or families, but it will be live streamed. So for parents and families who want to participate and view convocation, there'll be a link available online. For students, we ask you to be there. It is like a nice formal welcome to Duke in the beginning of your academic career, and it happens the Sunday before the first day of classes. It'll also be your first chance to get into Cameron, which is always a fun and cool experience. There's a lot of tradition and history in that building. So we'd encourage you to mark your calendars and be there for that as well. There are also some different academic connections that we wanted to highlight throughout O Week and beyond. So first on Thursday, there will be an academic lunch that occurs. We have invited various faculty members, academic advisors, and other helpful humans that will be there. This lunch is really going to be focused on the academic prep and what you need to be successful as you get ready for your Duke journey to start. Friday is, again, some more preparation sessions that exist. These ones are very much choose your own adventure. There's different drop-in hours that'll be available all Friday afternoon for you to go to the people that you think you need the most help with to feel ready for the first day of classes the following week. This could be academic advising, meeting with your quad or major advisor, peer support, connecting with other upper-class students who can provide some advice and insight into the academic experience here at Duke. There'll be open houses by a lot of departments, specifically ones with placement tests. So it's a chance for you to connect with those types of majors or those pieces. There'll be a pre-health welcome event as well. I know we have a lot of pre-health students coming in on the transfer class this year, but any of the other pre-health, pre-bed majors, that's a great chance to connect with some of our health professions advising folks. There'll be faculty panels, there'll be academic skill and strategy workshops. It's a lot of what do you think you need in order to be successful, and that's all available for you that Friday afternoon to choose your own adventure. And I just talked about it a lot. We wrap up with Sunday, new student convocation. And then finally, I think I'll round it out here by saying, as I mentioned earlier, Duke is huge. It's massive. There's a ton of resources, and we can't teach you everything that you need to know in a week, as much as we might try. Every year during our student leader training for orientation leaders, I always hear from students who say, I didn't know that this existed, and I am glad that I know it now because I'm going to use it myself. So what I'll say about that is that Duke uses the first 6 weeks of the semester as our welcome week model. Each week has a different theme, and there will be major events and milestones happening across campus for you to get connected in certain areas. You see them listed on the screen. This is Involvement in Leadership Week. This is Arts Week, Identity, Culture, and Religion Week, Academic Resources Week, Recreation and Wellness Week, and then Tech Week. So just to pull something out, the Arts Week. If you really want to get connected to Duke Arts, maybe it's a symphony orchestra, maybe it's some a cappella groups, Maybe it's something else entirely. There'll be a lot of small events and then big culminating events throughout this week for you to get connected with the Duke Arts. And it is themed out so that way you have an idea of what you want to do and when you want to do it. I'll put a special plug in for Involvement and Leadership Week. The Duke Group's Club Fair happens that first week of classes. It's a great chance for you to come and explore all the different clubs and organizations that Duke offers and find something that suits your interest and passion areas and get connected with students who are in that club as it exists. So I put a little plug in for that one because it does happen right off the bat. And you'll get those dates and times and details sent to your email the week of. But those are our welcome weeks. Welcome weeks conclude with fall break, which happens. And so then that's sort of our beginning first 6 weeks of the semester and get everybody off to a great start there. Great. And that is the end of my presentation. So I know I covered a lot and I've talked for a lot. So we'll go ahead and open it for the Q&A. I don't know. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. But this would be a chance if you have questions about anything related to product transfer or the transfer move-in, feel free to drop them into the Q&A section at the bottom. You're also more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask questions out loud. And I'm happy to help out with whatever it might be. It's also very possible that I crushed this presentation and was very thorough to answer all the questions that people might have on their brain, which is totally fine as well. If you do have questions, feel free to let us know. You're welcome to send us an email at studentorientation@duke.edu. Again, I also shared, but project transfer at duke.edu is a way to connect with our orientation leaders. There does exist a group meet as well that you could check out. But we're happy that you will be here on campus very soon. We're really looking forward to it. Things always feel a little bit better around campus. Summer is nice for a break, but it is nice when people are here in person. And so I'm looking for a little bit of that liveliness to come through, which is great. I do see a question about how many people can help move in during move-in day. There is no limit. You are welcome to bring a partner, friend, parents, grandparents, cousins, siblings, whatever you want and think would be helpful there. So yeah, it's totally up to you. The only question would just be, again, around the transfer family farewell that Monday night. If you could give us a head count, we can make sure we have enough seats and food provided for all of our guests. All right. Not seeing a lot of other questions, which is good. I'll go ahead and stop the recording here. And then I'll also continue hanging out for a few minutes. If there is some more personal individual questions, feel free to send it to me. Happy to hang out as long as we need to for whatever questions people might have. So once again, thank you all for being here. Look forward to having you on campus in a very short 13 days, and welcome to Duke.